But as long as we keep paying them the 159 quid a year, they're not going to change. They've got no incentive to change, have they? Because they don't have to earn the money. They're just gifted it. Hi, it's me again, and as you know on this channel, we're not very big fans of the BBC, or the boss of the BBC, Tim Davie. I don't think he's doing that good a job, you know. He's not shaking enough stuff up. They get 3.2 billion quid a year from TV licence fees, and they're saying they're skint, they can't make enough stuff, all they're showing is repeats, and they want more money, please. What is he doing? What's he doing? And he's just had a 75 grand pay rise himself. Well, I found an article about what he's doing. So let's take a little look at it and then we can judge if he's doing a good job or not from that once we know a bit more, can't we? Let's take a look. Redundancies, resignations and an unprecedented changing of the guard inside the battle for the BBC. Changing of the guard, you're having a laugh. Surely nothing's going to change at the BBC. They're only there to look after themselves and their licence fee so they can take those big salaries and ride the gravy train to retirement. Madness. If Tim Davie winced when he was recently scolded as a fat cat for taking a £75,000 pay rise, the BBC Director General might now be thinking he deserves a little more cream in his saucer. I don't. His job becomes harder by the day as star BBC journalists from political editor Laura Kunsberg to North America editor John Sopel began a disorienting game of musical chairs while senior news executives head for the exit doors of Broadcasting House. The BBC newsroom is making savings of £80 million and has shed more than 250 staff in a modernising news programme of 475 job cuts. And that's just the newsroom. The newsroom, BBC News, is going to cut 475 jobs and still be able to put out the news. Which begs the question, what were those 475 people doing anyway? And it also begs the other question, how many more staff are at BBC News? That is insane amounts of staff, don't you think? Mad, absolutely mad. There are tensions with new Culture Secretary Nadine Dorries, a critic of the BBC. Yeah, she might say she's a critic of the BBC and she's talking a good game, but she hasn't done anything yet. Who has warned that it needs real change if it is to survive. Meanwhile, has lost experienced figures such as technology correspondent Rory Cellan-Jones and breakfast host Louise Minchin. No big loss there, I don't think. This instability is compounded by the resignation in September of Fran Unsworth, BBC Director of News. She will depart in January after a 40-year career and a succession battle is underway. A 40-year career on the gravy train. God, I would love to know what pension she gets for that. I would imagine it's a few quid. Certainly a lot more than the state pension I'm going to get after working 40 years in my job. Davie, who's 54, an ultra-marathon runner, which is important in his job as Director General of the BBC, obviously, is an incisive and energetic leader. He will oversee all big appointments. He's very involved in all prominent on-screen talent deployment. He's very much a hands-on DG, says a BBC source. With a leadership vacuum in the BBC, he needs to be. And if it is him that swung the sword to cut the 475 staff from BBC News, then he should be applauded for that. Because that's such a huge amount of staff. What were they all doing? I don't understand it. But can he do it? Can he do it? I think the only way to fix the BBC is to close it down. Start again. Because it's endemic through the whole company. The wastage of money and the hiding things from the public. You know, it's their culture. It's what they do. God, it's a job on his hands. You know, maybe he is the man to do it. Maybe he will be good at his job and he's just finding it really hard. But, you know, he did work with BBC Studios as the boss, didn't he? Before coming over to the BBC. So I would imagine he got the gig because he's a safe pair of hands and he knows how the BBC works and he knows how to protect it. So all of this might just be token gestures. Meanwhile, rank and file BBC staff continue to grumble. Davie's pay rise went down like an absolute lead balloon, according to Pierre Vicari, president of the National Union of Journalists. It went down a lot worse than a lead balloon with the pensioners who are being made to pay 159 quid a year. Now, 75 grand pay rise, cheeky that. I ain't had a pay rise in years. Davie has made impartiality his watchword, and that will be key to his future appointments. He's keen on those who will enthusiastically endorse his impartiality drive. He has made it a totemic thing, says an insider. I'm with Nadine on this. Nadine said it's all well and good having impartiality, but you've got to have the diversity in the BBC to be able to deliver impartial views. And, they might be having different colours, different creeds within the BBC, but most of them come from quite a nice upbringing and posh universities and stuff like that. Where's the common folk? Where's people like me that I can relate to working on BBC News? There isn't any, is there? And you need the thoughts and feelings of the normal people to work with the thoughts and feelings of the posh people to try and meet in the middle and deliver news that's going to meet everybody. But 475 people have just been sacked, and I would imagine the favourites are the ones that were kept. While some fear that the overemphasis on neutrality will neuter the BBC's output, could it get worse? Could it be more neutered? The DG insists his priority is to make the BBC relevant to every household in the UK. This is the same Director General that came out and said they're not making any new programmes for anybody over the age of 40. They're focusing on the 16 to 24-year-olds so they can get them to pay a TV licence. But it's going to make it relevant to every household in the UK. So all the repeats are going to be a bit more relevant, and the crappy quiz shows and the antique shows are going to be more relevant to every household in the UK. They're not going to make good stuff targeted at different people. In fact, he cares so little about the over 40s that they've scrapped off BBC 4 to bring back BBC 3 for the 16 to 24-year-olds. Every household in the UK is important to the Director General. I really do at this point think the BBC is unfixable. I can't see how one man at the top can change all those years of the BBC protecting itself and the staff riding the gravy trains and the favouritism and the posh people. I don't get how they can do that. I think there is only two ways, really. One, scrap it off, start again from scratch. Not going to happen, is it, realistically? Come on. The other way is to go commercial. Because one, if they go commercial, doesn't matter to us anymore, does it? Because we're not having to pay them directly. And two, they're going to have to change. They're going to have to be better and stop all the repeats and everything because they've got to chase advertisers. And advertisers aren't going to spend the big bucks to advertise during crap. So they're going to have to buy more sport. They're going to have to make better drama series. All these things to chase advertisers. And that will change the BBC. That will change the BBC a lot. But as long as we keep paying them the 159 quid a year, they're not going to change. They've got no incentive to change, have they? Because they don't have to earn the money. They're just gifted it. They're spoiled children, aren't they? Living on an inheritance fund. That's all it is. Get money every year, don't have to do much for it. Ride the gravy train, 40 years to retirement, bosh, big pension, lovely. And if you're high up, maybe a peerage as well. Lovely. Oh, God. Something needs to change with the BBC, doesn't it? And I hope Tim is the man to do it, because I've seen him speak, and I quite like the way he speaks. But I just don't think he's got it in him. I don't think it's possible, really. I don't know. I hope he can, or I hope we don't have to pay for it, or I hope the BBC just goes away. Don't know. So what do you think about this? Do you think Tim's going to be the man to do it, with Nadine giving him the old Adidas up the arse? I doubt Nadine wears Adidas, does she? I don't know why I thought of that. But yeah, let me know what you think about all of this and what could change the BBC down in the comments below. And I'll see you in another video again soon. Thanks for watching.